Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. I'm back. Hey, listen. On this video, I wanted to just talk about something that you'll probably experience here. Like concerning sort of like customer service. In the Philippines, like specifically at stores. Not so much restaurants. There's been other vloggers who've made these sort of made videos about restaurants and maybe the differences and all that stuff. But you know what? I'm in Manila, and the restaurants are pretty good here. You know what I mean? And the service is pretty good. And they do, they will bring out the appetizers first. You know what I mean? Like you might hear other vloggers talk about, oh, they just bring everything out all at once. And sometimes that happens. And I think maybe in its smaller cities that could happen, right? Or certainly in a provincial area restaurant. But here where I'm at, I mean, it's pretty professional. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about that. It doesn't have to be like a hot, ultra high end restaurant here, okay, in Makati or whatever. I'm in Quezon City, and it's just a decent, good restaurant in the mall. You know what I mean? And a Filipino restaurant too, by the way, not like some Western franchise, restaurant or whatever. And and like we just ate yesterday in a really good restaurant, and and the service was fine. You know what I mean? Like it was just like America, just like the USA. Um, but no, this involves what I wanted to talk about is more about like appliance stores, right? Maybe even department stores, but let's just talk about appliance stores. And anything technology driven too. Any kind of store that's like whatever, it seems to be like a big store, almost like a Best Buy or something type store. Even in Manila here, man, I went to get a coffee maker, not a big appliance, just a small coffee maker, like one of those 6 cup coffee makers. And it was kind of funny because, and I got it and everything. The end result was fine, you know what I mean? But it was mostly because I sort of pay attention, when I go out and when I go to stores. I don't just like, because I'm living here. If you come here to visit, it's unlikely that you probably won't be buying any appliances, right? Or even small appliances. Well, you might, but I mean, you don't care, right? Like you're on vacation, you're just here to have a good time and spend some money, and you're probably not going to buy any appliances. But if you come here with the intent, even if you're not going to live right away here, but you're thinking, yeah, in another year I'm going to move here, then maybe might want to pay attention to this video. And certainly if you're already living here, if you just came here, like within the last 6 months or whatever, maybe you haven't experienced this yet. Um, but it kind of pays to pay attention here. You know what I mean? Like you can't just like assume that everything's, that the salesperson is going to just, be perfect and handle everything for you. And you're just going to tell them what you want, and that's it. You know what I mean? And 5 minutes later, you're walking out the door with a coffee maker or whatever. It's not always like that. Like it's kind of funny. Me and my girl, we went to this appliance store in the mall, and we're looking around. And initially, the coffee maker that I wanted was they only had the display model. They didn't have any in stock, supposedly, right? So, and it's kind of funny because the guy says it's a young man. I mean, when we walked in this store, I mean, there's like ice, and I am not exaggerating. There's like 20 people working there. Like just salespeople or whatever, right? And I'm not exaggerating, man. There's like at least 20 people there. And so it's kind of funny because everybody's like, "Hey, sir," especially if you're Western, you can see those eyes, even if you have to wear your mask because it's indoors or whatever. They know that you're a Westerner, and they're like, "Hell, sir," they're targeting you basically. Same thing with computers. If you ever go up to the top floor of a mall or whatever, where they have all the computer stuff and all the phone stuff and all the gadgets, same thing, man. As soon as you walk by, there'll be like 8 people saying, "Hi, sir," like trying to get you into their store. So anyway, there's a ton of people there. This one guy helps us, and he goes, "Well, this is not, we only have the clearance model." So then I said, "Well, could I buy that one?" And then he said yes, right? But then I guess he must have found out, oh no, you can't sell that one. So then he just tells me, and this is kind of interesting. They'll tell you like, oh, you could try the store next door. There's another store, next door, which is, you're not going to hear that very much in the U.S. necessarily. They're not going to necessarily point you to a competitor. Once in a while they will, you know what I mean? But here they do it a lot. It's almost like they're kind of nervous about making a sale anyway here, because they probably don't make that much money here on a sale. They might make $1. They make 10% or whatever. So if you buy something cheap, they're not making that much. So so they're sort of like nervous. They're lightly trained. Okay, let's just put it that way. They're new. They're probably a high turnover in these type of stores. Of employees. So okay, so we go to another store, the one that he said to go to, but they didn't have anything. The only thing they had was one of these expensive kind of a single cup coffee maker, but not a Keurig, but something similar and a lot more, like 5,000 peso. I'm like, no, I just need it. I'm the only one in the household, in my household, that drinks coffee, right? So I just need a small 6 cup, maker, 1,000 pesos or less. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to be buying anything extravagant. So we go there. Like I said, they don't have it in the other store. So then we come back to the original store, and because I was gonna say, hey, what about that display? Or I don't know what I was gonna say, but as we were walking to that area where I saw the one that I wanted, I see a bunch of what looks like those coffee makers in boxes, in stock, right there on the floor. Like 3 of them in boxes. So this is one of those where you pay attention, and then you get what you want, instead of walking out, 20 minutes later with nothing and wasted 20 minutes or more. This is where paying attention kind of helps. So then I said, oh, hey, my friend, I said, what about these? And then he goes, oh, I didn't even, he didn't even see them, before, or he didn't know about them. So I go, yeah, man, I'll take one of those. So he gets it, he grabs it, and then I think they must have established at some point when I was waiting, I picked the number and everything, and then I just was gonna, they sort of bring the thing out, or they're behind their little desk behind the glass, and they're, putting the sale together. And then they said, oh, there's a small problem, sir. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go. And so he says, it's almost like, upon checking, sir. Remember that phrase that I mentioned in one of my previous videos? Upon checking, sir. No, but that's usually not good when you hear that. But like the next sentence is going to be a downer probably. But in this case, it wasn't. In this case, it was like, oh, it's a different. That one's a different price than this one. I said, oh, okay. What is it? And he says it's like less. It's like a couple hundred pesos less. Than even though it looks the same. I don't know, man. Like I'm not gonna argue. They're giving me a deal. I'm not gonna go beyond that. I'm not gonna say, well, this is where if you're a detail-oriented guy, which I kind of am, sometimes you got to know when to shut up. Like just like okay, and just become a regular guy. So anyway, so yeah, that was the problem. I go, oh, no problem. I'll take it anyway. And then they said, okay, sir. And so then they put the sale together. I think we even trying to think, did we pay for it? Or I think the next step is they actually will take the thing out of the box and test it. And we actually bought 2 things, 2 small appliances, like a coffee maker and then one of those sandwich maker things, like makes grilled cheese sandwiches, a little oven thing, you know what I mean? A little grill thing that opens and closes, So 2 small appliances. And this is what I don't know, I've never seen this in the U.S. They actually will test it, and it's happened more than once. I bought things here, and they actually will test them, They'll test it, they'll turn it on, they'll plug it in, they'll, you look it over and everything, they'll take it all out of the plastic, and then they put it back, and everything. And then they put it in a bag for you, give you the receipt, and you're done, But it's sort of interesting. Like, that's a difference, right? The part about checking it, testing it, which is, it makes sense, But I've never had that, especially with a small appliance. I mean, you could buy a coffee maker at the grocery store, you know, like in the U.S. You know what I mean? Go to Jewel or Mariano's or whatever, you know, in that one aisle, you can get a coffee maker, and they're not going to test it for you. But but that was different. But then the other, I guess, the main point of this video is just, hey, if you sort of pay attention, you know what I mean? Like look around, you know, like you know, always have that awareness, you know, and you will save yourself a lot of wasted time, you know, and trouble, and you will more frequently get what you want. You know, but if you just go there thinking that, oh yeah, this is going to be just as great as the U.S. if I went to, you know, like Best Buy or ABT or one of those stores, you know, and they're going to help me, they'll do everything right, and you know, and I can just sit back and you know be the customer, you know. Well, you know, here, like I said, keep in mind that these employees are like on average like 18 to 20 years old. You know, I'm serious, like right out of whatever, like high school or whatever. And and that's the same. That's the case with grocery stores too. I mean, if you look, ever been around, you know, if you've been around in this country, you've noticed the employees. They are like 20 years old, most of them, like 90% of them, in the whole store. You know, so you know, you just got to pay attention. I guess that's the main thing, right? That's the main point. But that could have been a really goofy experience if I didn't open my eye. You know, if I didn't notice, I could have been like wasting a bunch of time and like you know and then some guys argue like, well, why can't I just buy the you know the clearance model, and you know they would have made a big thing about it or whatever. So I'm just trying to, this is all just a little advice, you know, to make your life a little easier, you know. All right, guys, that's about it. I will see you guys later, and I'm sure there'll be a few more videos I'll be cranking out here within the next couple of days. So yeah, don't hesitate to you know, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. I really do, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. All right, I'll see you later.